Hi. The depressing intro is going to make sense in a minute. How's everyone doing today? I'm depressed because I just finished Goodnight Punpun. Ugh. Now, if you don't know already, Goodnight Punpun is well renowned as one of the most misery-inducing mangas of all time. It follows our main character, Punpun, going about his life and his fights with love, depression, loss, greed, anger, lots of emotions. And it's really a 7-volume depiction of the slow descent into despair that this young character has faced due to the way he's been treated throughout his life. And what's my review of it? Well, it's really fucking good. We're gonna start off with why it's so freaking good. The manga itself is an absolute masterpiece in its artwork. It's one of the best mangas that I've ever seen in the attention to detail that each of the panels has. A lot of the pages are like 2-page spreads of like a landscape or a cityscape, and just the detail is mind-blowing. It's actually crazy. But aside from it being a masterpiece in the artwork, it's also a masterpiece in the writing. It showed this really realistic depiction of a human, of just a general human who faces human struggles. I know some of them are blown a little bit out of the water. You'll know what I mean if you've read the whole thing. But these are struggles that like people in real life do face. And I think it's such an accurate depiction of how it can affect a person's psyche and how it can affect their relationships in the future, the way they think about the world. It's done so masterfully and so well that it was almost believable this is a real person. The character of Punpun himself is depicted as this like bird-like character, and his depiction changes depending on where his mental state is. The reason this was done was so that you as the reader could place yourself in Punpun's shoes, no matter what you looked like, no matter who you were. It was a character that was taken out of the human world and replaced with something cartoonish so that you could place yourself in Punpun's shoes. This is such a clever decision for a manga, and it's not something I've seen before. I was really impressed by it, albeit a little bit confused at the start. Now, this manga is definitely not for children. 100% not. It's got sexual assault. It's got drug use. It's got lots of sex and sexual themes. It's got blood and gore. It's really dark, and at points, it can really grab you and pull you into the depths of where Punpun is, which is why oftentimes people warn that you shouldn't read this manga when you're not in the best mental state. I don't know if I 100% agree with that, but I can see how it can affect people in a negative way, so just be warned. The manga itself is split into 3 main arcs, the first of which is Punpun as a child, where he's facing his first example of what love is. He falls in love with a girl called Aiko, who isn't the nicest person at the start, and he forms this kind of obsessive relationship over her that carries on throughout his whole life. The second arc is when he's kind of a young adult and he's going to high school and he's kind of experiencing through that, and this is where his depression first starts. And then the third arc is where he's more of an adult, he's becoming independent, he meets some new characters who would class as his friends, I guess. He definitely doesn't class them as that. And he faces new struggles that often adults would face until a huge change happens in his life, and that's where the rapid descent of the story happens. The last 2 volumes are an absolute roller coaster of emotions, and after I finished reading them, I felt extremely hollow, I think the word would be. And it took me a little while to think about kind of what it meant and how it had affected me, and I realized it had much more of an emotional effect on me than I thought it would. As I started to analyze what happened in the last 2 volumes, I kind of realized that this is a much more powerful piece of literature than other things that I've read, and for that I give it the utmost props. It's really difficult to describe what Goodnight Punpun is and what it means without spoiling it, so if you want to read it, if you feel like you have the ability to interpret this in a positive way, then definitely go out and do it. But again, gonna preface that warning, this has some heavy topics in it, so if you're not feeling in the best of moods, maybe don't read Goodnight Punpun. But if you can make it past that, it is an absolute freaking masterpiece. And at some point I'm gonna do a video analyzing a couple more of like the story beats and really talking about my feelings and opinions on the story itself. But as for right now, I don't want to spoil anything. I think you should just go out and read it. That's if you can get your hands on it. Manga industry, you know what I'm talking about. Talking about getting your hands on manga, make sure you head down below and follow my link to Forbidden Planet, which is a website that sells manga, comic books, action figures, and all kinds of other collectibles. And out of nowhere, they've started restocking some of the really hard to find manga, like Chainsaw Man, Jujutsu Kaisen, and Goodnight Punpun. If you follow the link down below, it supports me at no loss to you guys. You just buying manga as you would anyway. It's a really awesome site. It's got good prices too. Please be sure to check it out. And yeah, that's the video for for today. Just a really short review of Goodnight Punpun, what I thought of it. Fantastic series. Let me know down below what you thought of the series, or if you haven't read it yet, if you have any questions that I can maybe answer, spoiler free. No spoilers in the comments, please. If you've enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and tinkle that notification bell to make sure that you get a notification every time that I upload. It's much appreciated. I hope you guys have enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.